Hi everyone, it's me Ali, and I'm going to be making a video about how it was for me growing up being transgender. Really, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. In my entire life, it was perhaps... Give me 1 second. I have to turn off my heater, I'm sorry. But, my entire life, I can guarantee it was probably one of the hardest things. Growing up at an early age, I realized that I didn't like guys' things. I didn't like what all the other guys liked. For Christmas and everything, like holidays and stuff, when everybody was receiving gifts and stuff like that, my brother and my cousins would ask for like Matchbox cars and wrestlers and trucks and Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that. Me, I wanted the holiday Barbie for Christmas. I wanted Hello Kitty and My Little Pony. I just wasn't interested in wrestlers or cars or things like that. I wasn't. I don't know why, but I wasn't. I can remember me being around 4 or 5 years old, and my grandma, I begged her and begged her and begged her to give me a holiday Barbie for Christmas, and she did. And she also got me a Barbie Playhouse set, and my dad, because he didn't approve, he threw it away. Being younger, I can remember being babysat by people, and me asking them to put makeup on me, make me pretty, because I wanted them to. Because, like, it's what made me happy. Like, I was interested in that kind of thing. I've always been feminine. Like, since I've been 2, 3, I've always been interested in female things. Growing up, I was forced to play sports basically because I was too feminine. My parents thought that it would make me more masculine. I was forced to play soccer and baseball and basketball and wrestling and football. And because I was basically forced to play football, I got into a football injury and it made me start having seizures because I needed to be more masculine. Once I started having seizures, I wasn't allowed to play any more sports. Because I was so uncomfortable with my body, I basically made myself gain an eating disorder. Because I was so uncomfortable with myself, I felt so different that I was just so uncomfortable being in the body that I was in that I just quit eating and all. Like, I just hated the idea of food. I hated being big. I hated being different. I did everything to make myself look more feminine. And I still do, and I can't help it. I just do. I hate eating. I hate food. And I feel like after I start completely transitioning, I would actually be comfortable with my body. Maybe I would enjoy food. Maybe I would enjoy eating. But until then, I just don't. And I actually even sometimes make myself throw up because I'm so uncomfortable with my body and I'm scared of gaining weight. Sorry, I have like a list of things here that I'm trying to all say in this video. I can remember one year, I was about 12 years old. It was Halloween, and I didn't really have a costume or anything like that. And I really, really, really wanted to be a girl for Halloween. Like, with makeup, I had this little wig, and it had like red streamer things. It was like a little devil's wig. It had these little horns and these streamer things, and my aunt did my makeup really pretty. I was wearing heels and some of my sister's clothes. And then I remember I went down the block, down the street, to a friend's house to get my brother and him so we could all go to get my brother and my friend and his little brother so we could all go trick-or-treating. And my brother and my friend just started making fun of me, calling me a fag, telling me that I was gay, that was wrong, that I looked stupid, and just repeated things like just those ideas. They like forced them into my head repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly, and I just left. and I just left after they said all of that. I tried just joking around with them. It's like, oh, it's just Halloween. It doesn't matter. It's just Halloween. It doesn't matter. I can remember me going home and crying because of how bad they made me feel. Because I was just trying to be who I really was. And that was my really first experience at being bullied for being who I am. And it wasn't fun. I cut myself because of that, because they made me feel like shit, because I was so uncomfortable being in my own body. And when I did finally embrace who I really am supposed to be, they didn't accept me. And it's just not a fun time. Around age 13, I finally came out to my mom, and I told my mom basically that I was bisexual. That's obviously not what it was. At first, she was really angry with me, not because she was ashamed of me, but it's because she didn't understand. It was something that she hadn't been exposed to, because my mom comes from a very closed-minded family. Eventually, she came around to the idea and realized that it didn't matter. Around age 14, I came out and said that I was gay. Again, not what it was. Because I basically lost attraction in feminine, subtitled people. Like, I just wasn't interested in feminine people. I was the feminine one in the relationship. So I was like, oh, no, I'm not bisexual. I'm gay. I like guys who are masculine, not girls who are feminine. Again, not what it was. Around age 15, I started acting out in drag because it made me feel comfortable with who I was. And I can, like, I remember me getting my first set of makeup, and it was just the best thing in the world to me. I did so much with it. I can remember me doing all these different designs on my eyes, and doing foundations and lipsticks and eyeshadows and everything like that, and it just made me so happy because it was like I could finally start embracing who I really was. Right before I turned 16, a couple months before I turned 16, I started researching transgenderism. And the thought of being, like, I just kept researching it and researching and researching it, and one day I just came out and said, you know what? No, I'm not gay. I'm not bisexual. I am transgender. I don't feel comfortable in the body that I'm in. I want to be who I really am. I want to be a female. I am a female in my mindset. And eventually, eventually my anatomy will match my mindset. At around age 14, I started dressing out as both male and female. I didn't classify myself under one certain style. I did both. And I realized, like, I really don't like male clothes. They disgust me with passion. They really, really do. And then around age 15, I started wearing completely all female clothes. I quit wearing girls' clothes, or I quit wearing guys' clothes completely. Around February of this year, February or March of this year, I started wearing a bra to school for the very first time. And there were so many people that were so accepting of it, like nobody cared. I didn't get made fun of. Like, everybody was just like, oh, you're finally doing it. You're finally doing what you want to do. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. And, like, all the support and the passion that people were giving me, the compassion that I was getting from people, it made me feel so amazing. Like, there was nothing in the world that can describe that feeling. In August of this year, I went to my doctor for the very first time and came out and told him that I was transgender and that I wanted to start transition. And my doctor basically told me, that's okay. I'll help you. You need to be who you really are. If you're not who you are and you're not happy with yourself, life's just gonna be miserable. My cat just sneezed. But, and he was so right, like, my life was miserable, basically. Like, I was miserable inside. I hid it a lot. I started cutting myself because of it, because it was so miserable to be me, because I was so ashamed of who I was. Not ashamed, I shouldn't use that word. Not ashamed, uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable with who I am, who I was, who I was forced to be. And I'm still waiting on getting that appointment scheduled. Hopefully it'll be before the end of December. Family input. As many of you know, me and my father weren't on good terms when he passed away this year in March, and it just really wasn't a great time for me. I hadn't talked to my father in a year, so he didn't know that I came out to be transgender. He knew me as being a feminine, dressing guy, gay guy, and that's just not what it was. My mom, as for my mom does know that I'm transgender. At times, she can be very unaccepting and very close-minded to the fact that I'm transgender, but at other times, she is very supportive and she's like, oh, that's okay. And she's just wanting me to be happy. This Friday, this past Friday, just 2 days ago, no, just yesterday, I wore a dress to school for the very first time. And my mom, she was like, I don't understand why you're doing that. Why are you gonna do that? You're just gonna get made fun of. But it's just because she didn't understand, like, it's not that she doesn't understand, because she does understand now. It's that she doesn't want to accept the fact that I'm no longer going to be her son. And of course that's going to be hard for any parent to do, to accept the fact that the child that they birthed isn't who they birthed. It, uh, it sounds really, really confusing to most of you, I'm sure, but that's just because you haven't experienced it yet. I will say that yesterday, I did not receive one negative comment about me wearing a dress to school. People constantly told me that I looked pretty all day long, that they loved my dress, that they were so happy for me and so proud of me that I finally wore a dress to school, because they know that I've been wanting to so bad. If you guys haven't tell, if you guys couldn't tell already, right now, at this point in my life, there's a bunch of supportive people in my life. I have many friends, family, people that I consider family, fans even, that support me in being transgender and that are happy that I'm pursuing who I really am. Growing up being transgender was definitely not the easiest thing for me. I'm sure it's not the easiest thing for anybody who has to grow up hiding who they really are, who has to grow up being forced to be somebody else. I'm trying so hard not to cry right now because it's just so emotional for me. At this point in time, I can say that it has been the happiest year of my life since I came out and said that I was transgender, since I started wearing a bra to school, since I had started going by the name Allie and not Alex. I'm finally starting to be happy with myself. I'm finally starting to be who I really am. And it really is just the best thing ever. I made this video because somebody was curious about how it was for me growing up being transgender, and I hope this gave you a little more insight on it. For those of you who watch this, I hope it gives you guys a little bit more respect for people who are transgender. They don't have the easiest lives. We don't have the easiest lives. I know everybody has their own issues, but you guys don't have to grow up being somebody that you're not. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, and I really hope it gave you guys new insight on transgender people, transgenderism, and people who are just uncomfortable in general with who they are, people with eating disorders, people who have their baby scars. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's what these really are. Gender is just a baby scar, and eventually baby scars go away. If you're not happy with yourself, you need to make yourself happy because life's going to be miserable until you do. That's all I have to say, guys. Thank you so much.